I just want to say, why does John Searle use neodymium element, not neodymium magnet? Neodymium magnet is a compound. Neodymium magnet isn't very strongly magnetic. Neodymium element isn't a strong permanent magnet by itself. Why does he use neodymium? Well, he uses neodymium for this reason, because raw neodymium is extremely reactive and it will create composition reactions with the air around it. If you take a piece of raw neodymium and you leave it in a room for 2 weeks, it will no longer be neodymium. It will be a neodymium compound because it will have stripped the negative electrons from the air around it, leaving the air around it positive, and pulling the positive atoms of the air toward it, bonding with it, creating a neodymium compound. So that's why he uses it, because it will strip that electron from the air, because it's extremely reactive. That's why. And what I want to know is, if you could take neodymium element, the neodymium element, and can you charge this with a negative ion generator and give it a static electric charge? Because then it would be a reservoir of electrons, and that's what I think. But even if you don't worry about it. As long as you charge the copper layer of the stator with a negative ion generator, it should prove what I'm talking about a little bit in my other videos. But raw neodymium, or the neodymium element, is extremely reactive, and it's going to pull electrons out of the air. And then what's going to happen is the electrons push toward the center of the SEG, because of the motion of the rollers, will draw out that extra electron pulled out of the air, and it will bring it back with it, and it will store it as excess static electricity on the stator, which will move over to the roller, and then it will jump to the horseshoe magnet power in it. But they said that when you heat up the neodymium element, it becomes extremely reactive, so it will react with the air around it really, really quick. But the cooler it becomes, the less reactive it is, but it's still reactive. But it shouldn't react with the air around it as quick, but it would still pull the electrons out of the air, but it won't create a neodymium compound. As if you heat up the neodymium element, it would increase the process at which the neodymium bonds with the air around it to create a neodymium compound. But that's my point. He uses the neodymium element because of its reactivity is really strong. And different rare earth elements also have really strong reactivity, like psyllium, from what I heard, and there's a list of rare earth elements. So you don't have to use neodymium, but he did, so you can use it to be safe. Because when you put neodymium with nickel and iron, you form a compound, and it becomes really strong. It becomes strongly magnetized, but it's no longer neodymium.